It's Derby week. It's also St Patrick's Day at Happy Valley on Wednesday night for the second time for our 8-race programme. A very warm welcome to Racing to Win, your one-stop shop for Hong Kong racing. I'm Andrew Lejeune, joined here in the studio by Paul Lally, our form analyst, and race caller Brett Davis as well. And Brett, the big one obviously coming up on the weekend, but a competitive night at the Valley first. That's right, Andrew. Yeah, it will be a very competitive night. No doubt there'll be a big crowd. You'll need to be on your best behaviour too, because the Police Cup is the feature. So on your best behaviour is probably the late mail, I would have suggested, which is always the case. Of course, it's down there in the beer garden at the Valley. Isn't that right, Paul?
Of course, we're always working, so we can't get up to any trouble.
Good jackpots to keep us going as well?
Yeah, 2.1 million for the triple trio, so we're expecting a winning dividend up to about $4 million for a single unit, a $10 unit, so that's pretty good. A few first starters thrown in there as well. There's about 4 or 5, I think, so yeah, there's some interesting runners in that respect. Pretty even betting races throughout the card. Don't think there'd be anything too short throughout the night.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. You know, Paul often, before he joined the Racing to Win team, used to drift down towards the beer garden just to watch the start of a few races towards the end of the night. Keep things under control. Yeah, on a regular basis, actually.
Yeah, research. Research purposes, of course.
It's paid well, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Just very quickly, of course, Derby Fever, we're in full grip of that. Nothing I Like More. He'll be one of the favourites. Trialled on Tuesday morning in preparation for the weekend.
Yeah, look, it's a real question mark for me. You know, he trialled over a mile at Sha Tin not that long ago, along with the Golden Age and Exalton and a whole heap of others that are heading towards the Derby. Singapore Sling wasn't there. And now he's gone back to the trials again, which I find a little bit peculiar. I don't know if that's the right word, but
unconventional.
Correct. Not the type of sort of scenario I would have thought John Size would have used in preparation for a Derby, but he was a little bit disappointing, I suppose, in the Classic Cup. Who's to question John Size, though? He's the leading trainer. But, yeah, it's an interesting one for me.
He won the trial, though, Paul. He looked good doing so.
He did, and he beat, you know, Western Express. It was quite a high-class trial as well in it. So, yeah, he did everything he had to do. I think they'd be happy coming out of that trial because he won it and he didn't show any problems, did he, winning it?
There's sort of been talk about the fact that he didn't get out of the gates well either last time, so it was another opportunity to get him to step well, but, you know, a jump out would have done the trick with that, I would have thought.
Right. Barrier draw is a big thing, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, looking forward to
Thursday
that.
for that. So it was actually a big weekend for John Size and the team, as well as we can look back on now with our racing review. So the feature race on the weekend was a Class 1, a really good sprint with a number of these that have been contesting Group 1s, including Amazing Kids. He's been behind Mr Stunning, his stablemate in his last 3 starts. Came good here, and it's a big win for Brett Preppel. Decent milestone here.
Absolutely, yeah, fantastic for Brett. 800 winners. He's been, you know, a great jockey here for a long period of time. In your recent interview with Douglas White, of course, he matched it there with Douglas White for a period, nearly knocked him over in his title race. They had the punching gloves and the boxing gloves out too on that occasion. Great for him. Great to see Amazing Kids win. He deserves another nice race underneath his belt.
Yeah, he down in class, wasn't he? And it really showed, and he got to the line strongly. He did, 133 wasn't a problem, and there's talk of Dubai now for him, isn't there?
Yeah, going over with DB Penn, possibly, but it was a huge day. Fabulous One ran a mighty race down there on the rail as well, at huge odds.
He did. He can do that. He's another one that's been to Dubai in the past as well. He's been a little tricky to sort of get right with any real sort of accuracy, Fabulous One, but when he jumps and gets rolling and gets into rhythm, he can certainly cut a few ribbons and cut a few hearts, the horses chasing, and he did that on this occasion, but just class told in the end, didn't it?
Yeah, Born in China, who came in with off the back of that big win at Happy Valley. Didn't disgrace, but just couldn't quite get there in the end.
Yeah, I mean, his record is better at Happy Valley. I mean, if you just look at the bare statistics, you can see it is better there. I know he's run that one good race at Sha Tin before, but I far prefer him at the Valley.
I must admit, calling the race, Andrew, I was sort of waiting for horses to come from the back and just didn't eventuate. Winner's Way ran a bold race to finish third.
Yeah, so Amazing Kids gets 3, so he's still right up there, 126, and the DB Pins, Mr Stunning's 129. Calculation, another one of the size runners, got 10 for that big win on the all-weather.
Yeah, that's a big hike, isn't it, for calculation? But it was his first real go on the all-weather, and he'd won on the Polytrack in Ireland. Sun Touch was a good win from the front, and he went up 8.
Yep. Yeah, and Remarkable was able to win again, only got 6. And obviously Amazing Satchmo. I thought 5 was a bit light, actually, because he was 3 deep, no cover for a lot of the trip and still was able to win. So good performance from him. He could probably win again.
Yeah, one horse that won't be figuring in our horse to follow, I Victory, got 12 for that win at Happy Valley last week. He's up to 107 now.
Yeah. I wonder where he'll be going next.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting because sooner or later he's going to have to put the boxing gloves on himself against the big boys.
He's off a rating like that. All right, well, speaking of the horses to follow, let's see if we can find you some now. All right, what have you got for us, Paul?
Well, a horse had only had a one start previously, the son of Denman, a horse called My Winner. He finished 9th on debut, but he wasn't too far away from the winner on that occasion. And he's proved again here. He's improved from start 1 to start 2. He came along the inside and hit the line very strongly, I thought. This was over 1,200. Being by Denman, I don't think 1,400 looks pretty ideal for him. And he didn't give it away at all. I thought it was a good run from him. And now he's had these 2 runs. He was just momentarily held up there. You could see he switched off heels and still came back and hit the line strongly. So not a bad run at all from him, and I'll keep keeping an eye on him, 1,400 plus.
All right, lightly raced, or a relatively recent import for you, Brett?
Yeah, Bigwood ran in the last. The race was won by, of course, Everest with a claim for Matthew Poon. He just was a striking individual, I thought, when I saw him in the paddock. I hadn't had a real good close look at him up until this race day. You can see here he sort of matches it with Bring It On and Sacred Ibis on the outside rail, and then he wants to do a few things wrong, sort of run all over the place. He's still raw, he's still green, but he's definitely got some ability. Won at Gowran Park in Ireland before he came to Hong Kong. He's going to need more time and more racing, but he is a horse who'll be winning races for me.
Yeah.
Sacred Ibis was a bit wayward, wasn't he? Up to that outside fence. I don't know what they did with him.
All right, OK, so a couple to watch from there. Positively High is the horse I'm going to focus on. Raced under the same name in Australia. Mick Price trained him there. It was a win on the synthetic and up to a mile on soft ground at Sandown as well. But just keep an eye on him here, because this is over the 1,400 metres. I think it's another one that might appreciate a step-up in trip. This was just his second start. On debut, he had excuses, and at this point, doesn't look like he's making up a great deal of ground, but just the last 100 or so, just ducks back to the inside and really starts to find something as well. So maybe up to a mile, maybe even a bit further as well. I think Positively High by High Chaparral might be, hopefully, greeting the judge. All right, those are the horses to follow out of the weekend. As far as the Stewards report is concerned, Neil Callan picked up a couple of days on Peniophobia, plus a $15,000 fine, and then back to Happy Valley. Fast Most Furious only just beaten last week. Zach on board gets 2 days, 28th to 3rd of April, and Dylan Moe on Most Beautiful, also a couple of days, plus a fine to go along with that. Right, what do we have? 4 non-runners for you from Happy Valley's Wednesday night programme. Perfect Choice in race number 3, replaced by Kingston 1. Vincent Ho in the saddle there. Wushu Champion out Little Fantasy now gets a start in race 4. That's up over the 1,800 metres. In race 6, London City is scratched. Not replaced there in race number 6. And the final one is My Power, who's one of the first starters, now replaced by Mr. Right and Derek Long. So those are the 4 scratchings as we launch into Wednesday night's programme, which is meeting 55 of the season. On the turf, of course, 8 races, starting off with a Class 5 over the 1,200 metres. So Raishu and Karis Teaton head them. 0 from 14, but he was third course and distance, 1,000 metres. Last time out behind Windfall Patrol. Treasure and Gold, beaten favourite at Chartin last time out. Scarborough Fair run-up behind Young Dreamer last time out. Idyllic Win third in that race. Great Top Light finished 8th. King Steed was run-up over the 1,000 last time out behind Windfall Patrol. And Rocket Let Win, playing around with the gear. The blinkers go back on. He also changed home Young Dreamer last time.
There's expected to be some pace in this 1,200 metre event for Class 5 gallopers, with Young Dreamer, of course, a last start winner, expected to bounce, try and find the front. King Steed normally races handy. Catch Me If You Can has got the pace to be up there. Gobi Storm might struggle initially, but he'll be sort of working towards the front, and Scarborough Fair, a possibility of just sitting in behind. There is some pace to be expected here, I would have thought, in the first.
Horse has been very consistent since he's been down in the Class 5 as this one, Raishu. He can be a little bit keen in the morning. So Karis Teaton is a new jockey for him, and you can see he's just getting a feel of the horse now, so he would have learned a bit from that gallop. I thought Exponents is a horse who seems to have improved a little in the morning. He's getting right down in the ratings now, down to a rating of 25, but that's him, number 31 on the far side. He's going okay. His track work suggests that there's no problems with him. And King Steed down the back straight, I mean, what do you do with him? He is his own worst enemy. He's down to a rating of 20 himself. He's got the ability, but can beat himself on a lot of occasions.
All right, okay.
That's why he's 20.
Exactly. Well, we're going to start off with King Steed, amongst others. He was finishing second last time out. This is behind Winning Patrol, who just absolutely was off and gone. King Steed, Raichu, Gobi Storm and Catch Me If You Can tried, though.
Yep, I've got quite a number of these in my tips, actually, but I'm going to stick with Raichu. I just think for a Class 5 galloper, he's been quite honest in his endeavour and his efforts of late. Yes, he's a little horse and he's got all this weight to carry, and that is a concern. I think, look, if it fails here, they might have to go for a 7-pound claimer or something like that, but he's just racing well, and I think getting to 1,200 metres is good for him. There was a reasonable gap between his run 2 back and that one, so I think with closer gap here, that'll just add a little bit more fitness and give him a chance.
Yeah, he's very consistent in this grade, isn't he? And he deserves this chance. So, you know, I've got him on top. I think he can run well.
All right, that's Raichu. What about Young Dreamer, who was a winner last time out? Can he repeat, I suppose, is the big question. That was his first win at start number 14.
Yeah, it was, as you mentioned, he'll be on the pace. I think Alberto Senna will get him out and rolling. So he'll be out of trouble in the front. I think he'll get run down late, but I've managed to find a place for him. I know he's up in weight a little bit, but was strong enough to win, and he was coming away a little bit at the end. Hasn't
had a lot of racing. His first up run was good. Second up looks fair on the race car, but then a win there. And he'll be up on the speed, so wouldn't put the pen through him.
OK, all right, that's Young Dreamer. Alberto Senna for Tony Millard. Treasure and Gold finishes second. Would he have won? Possibly, but gets no luck down the straight here.
Yeah, he's a winner off a rating of 31 before this horse. He's going to have to go back. That's the question mark from barrier number 12. But he's so consistent at the moment as well. Another one of these consistent horses, Son of Fastnet Rock, this horse. I see him getting back and running on late. I've got him in the placings.
I just was worried about the gate. That was the concern. Had he have drawn sort of 4 or 5, he would have snuck his way into the tips for me, but from that barrier, I'm willing to let him go, but he's definitely a chance.
All right, OK. Sounds like you're a Raichu man, Paul.
Yeah, Class 5 here, so we'll go for the Raichu on top. Treasure and Gold, as Brett said, if he'd drawn inside, then could have even put him on top. He's very consistent. He's run second at his last few starts. Does like Happy Valley. Exponents is the roughie. He'll throw him in just from the back of his track work, which is pretty good. He is getting down the ratings, and with a low barrier draw, he's got barrier number 2. He'll get his opportunity. And Young Dreamer's a last start winner. So in 1, 2, 9 and 3, but exotics for this one.
I'm a Raichu man as well. Race 1, number 1. I think just an honest type of galloper who should get a fairly solid tempo here, which will suit him. He'll be closing off late, and I think this is a winnable race for him. So him on top from Gobi Storm. He'll be run off his legs early, but he will stay on. Scarborough Fair should run well, and Catch Me If You Can, I'm going to throw him in too. I wasn't disgraced with his effort last start behind Win for Patrol. So 1, 7, 5, 10.
All right. I quite like Treasure and Gold. A number of the horses I like on Wednesday night's programme actually drawn poorly, him being one of them, but I'll stick with him. All right, that's the first event. We'll take a short break, come back with race number 2 on the other side of this.